This is Aion from Germany, and you're listening to the PodCacher podcast.
This is the PodCacher podcast.
The podcast all about geocaching.
We consistently deliver high-quality, family-friendly shows that are informative, inspirational, and entertaining. Welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm Sonny.
And I'm Sandy.
From sunny San Diego, California.
Welcome to PodCacher.
This show covers all aspects of caching, news, tips and tricks, tools of the trade, interviews, caching events, and stories from around the world.
Check out our website at podcacher.com for show notes and some great information. Write us at our email address. That's podcacher@gmail.com.
You can call us on the PodCacher hotline and leave a voice message at 206-A-CACHER or Skype us at PodCacher. So with that, let's get on with the show. Hey guys, and welcome to another PodCacher podcast.
Hey everyone, we're glad you're here with us for show 311 for March 21st, 2011.
That's right, and hopefully you're starting off another great week. We just got back from an educational technology conference in Palm Springs. That's the Computer Using Educators Conference, the Q conference that happens every year.
Yeah, and we were able to grab a couple urban caches to help fill out our calendar days.
Yeah.
We've been doing pretty good.
We've been doing pretty good. We haven't missed one because of all the technological help that we've had to remind ourselves not to miss those days.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of time to go caching. Sonny was very busy with the conference, and I was busy keeping Sean occupied.
Yes.
But we did get the ones on the days we needed to.
Yeah.
And I also got
I got
an earth cache.
Earth cache.
The Living Desert Zoo.
That was inside actually the zoo, an earth cache that was there.
Pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. But guys, we do have a great show for you today. We have a story about an amazing travel bug rescue.
Also, another awesome cache in our Great Caches series.
We have a great First to Find story about a close race on a puzzle series.
Also, a worldwide flash mob update for you.
That's right. An unexpected LPC story for you, plus a whole lot more.
First up in the news, trash tracking.
One of the things we love to do here at the PodCacher podcast is bring you stories and news about how GPS technology is being used in today's world.
And a link was sent to us recently by Harry, also known as Twente Mug from Haarlem in the Netherlands. And it's a really interesting video that was actually on Wired.com. And the description says, the trash of 500 people in Seattle was tracked using GPS.
This is amazing.
The fate of their garbage is revealed in this visualization. And the credit goes to Sensible City Lab, working with MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And it's an interesting video. It's pretty short. There's no narration. There's just some captions that overlay the photos and some background music that's going on. And some of the text that's on the video says, imagine we could use smart tags to follow where our garbage goes. We could reveal the destinations of our everyday objects and increase awareness of sustainable practices.
Yeah, and one of the things they say is that we're very aware of production lines and how things get supply chains, but not so much about the
removal
of the trash. Like, where does it actually go?
Yeah, and obviously their idea here, their purpose is to increase that awareness of because we throw our garbage away and they say out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
But it doesn't just disappear.
Yeah.
This was actually done in October of 2009, and the beginning of the video just kind of flashes through images of all the different pieces of trash with their tags next to them. And there was actually a total of of 3,000 trash items.
Now, this is amazing because they gave it to 500 people, and so they gave these people these trackable items, and they put it in everything from shoes to actual garbage,
old cell phones,
plastic bottles, and
every
stuff
kind
like
of
that.
thing that you throw away.
And it's amazing that they're able to track this thing visually and represent it in the video that you'll see.
Yeah, the video then turns into a map, and then there's like spider lines that are being drawn and appearing on the map as the days and the weeks and the months pass that are coming out of Seattle, because that's where this experiment happened.
Sure.
And after days, weeks, I think it goes up to a couple of months, and by that time the lines are spread out throughout the whole U.S.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it doesn't, of course, talk about how the stuff travels or why or who took it where, but it just shows. I mean, these were the tags that were on the garbage, and this is showing where it's spreading. It's fascinating.
Maybe somebody went to some of these trash dumps and picked it up and sent it on eBay, and that's how it's spreading through, right?
Could have been.
Could be.
Yeah, for some of the items.
Well, it's fascinating, though, and what's really interesting is the technology behind it. Because, we know that GPS is used for everything from navigation to, of course, a sport we know and love as geocaching, but now they're using it to track these pieces of trash. And we took a look at it, and the technology is something the size of an old cell phone, so it's not very large, but they actually have a second generation that's out right now. The first generation that they used were based on only GSM cellular phone technology that estimated the tag's position by measuring the signal strength from each cell tower inside of the device and comparing it to a map of normal cell towers. The second generation of tracking tags used actually the best of both worlds, both the GPS and CDMA cell tower trilateration, which is a much more accurate way to check for the location of things.
Right.
And some people are asking, well, is this thing battery powered? Is this thing
how does it not die?
Yeah. Well, one thing that they did was to ensure a long battery life was to develop a duty cycling algorithms which use a certain technology to put it in hibernation that keep the tag off most of the time. And it only turns on every few hours to sense and report its position, right?
Oh, right, because it doesn't need to be
on it all the time.
Yeah, real time.
Yeah. Listen to this. The tag also uses motion sensing technology, which allows it to continue being in hibernation mode if no movement has been detected for a long time. And so that extends the battery life even further. And finally, if it starts moving, it then knows that it's moving now, and then it wakes up to check and report its new position, like, I'm in a trash truck.
That's pretty high tech for garbage.
It is. But you know what? Some people were questioning, well, you're putting more trash out there. Is this toxic stuff?
With the tag?
Well, and they addressed that. They said all the components used in the tags are RoHS compliant, which means that toxic material levels are way below U.S. and European standards for electronic products, which use trash tags. So these are legally usable and all that, but it is an interesting use of technology. And obviously there is probably, millions of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on this because of all the technology that was out there. 3,000 tags put out there.
But just to get a snapshot of what's going on. I mean, this kind of study is important as our cities continue to grow,
right,
and fill with people that are producing garbage.
Yeah.
Figuring out where it goes and what we're going to do about it in the future.
And this is a obvious, a virtuous and worthwhile thing to learn about. And it was sponsored by, like you said, these very high profile organizations. But, the geek in me can't help but think if this kind of technology could maybe bleed over into the entertainment or geocaching sphere. Well, think about it. These tags that have already been developed that have low usage of batteries and things like that, they could be put into like geocachers or maybe hooked up to travel bugs. And then you can actually track travel bugs as it moves across, right?
So they wouldn't get lost or it's stolen.
You see what I'm saying?
You know where they ended up.
I mean, honestly, they developed it for tracking trash, and they could probably track other things like vehicles, and the technology that allows it to shut off when it's not moving, like a lot of travel bugs don't, right? And the ability to trilaterate or triangulate to give off its location. And it's not constant, but it just puts out a pulse every once in a while, like, I'm here. That could be used with a travel bug or, like way in the past. Remember those moving geocaches that allowed, and they're no longer allowed, the traveling geocaches and things like that. But that would be an interesting use of it, don't you think? And the technology's already been developed for, like I said, doing these things that give us really important information, but once again, crossing over to the entertainment sphere. So maybe it just might happen, coming to a geocache near you, a trilateration generation GPS CDMA device that can allow you to track it.
Very interesting, honey.
Thank you. All right.
PodCacher email.
All right, PodCacher email. We heard from several people about the earthquake and tsunami affected cache online memorial. And we heard from listener Post Hole Digger, who wrote, I just wanted to say hi and also send you a link to a cache place near the Sendai airport, which is where it almost centralized the earthquake and tsunami way out there. People around the world have seen images of the airport being swamped by the tsunami that was spawned by this huge earthquake in northern Japan. The cache is most likely no longer there, as this is a lot closer to the ocean than the airport, actually. So it was in between the ocean and the airport. The cache page seems to have been turned into an online memorial where people post encouraging notes for the residents of the quake and tsunami. And now, looks like the meltdowns and other stricken areas. I thought this was an interesting use for a cache page. Note, the cache owner survived the disaster. I'm not sure you got the information that they did, but that's good news to hear that, some good news from that amazing tragedy out there. And then from Austria, Gandalf der Weiss, did I say that right? Gandalf der Weiss wrote about this cache and said, this simply shows the team spirit and solidarity of the geocaching community. And remember, we've got geocachers all around the world. And so when anything happens out there, there's bound to be geocachers somewhere nearby that know a little bit about that. And once again, if you want more information about this, we'll put links on our show notes. And just like we did in a previous show, we really encourage you to take the time, if you have the resources, to seek a reputable donation organization, maybe like the Red Cross, and help out with the tsunami and earthquake relief efforts that are going on out there.
Another email came in with the topic of haunted geocaching. The email said, Dear Sonny, Sandy, and Sean, Topper Cat here from the northwest burbs of Chicago. I was recently out looking for a cache at Bachelor Grove Cemetery in Midlothian, Illinois, with Tassie Tigress. We DNF'd it, but not before I snapped some neat pictures. And they sent some pictures that we'll put on the show notes. I should mention that this cemetery is considered to be the most haunted place in the Chicago area, and maybe the most haunted cemetery in the world.
Okay, interesting.
Sounds scary. I thought you might like the photos from our adventure. We did one cache on our way out, and if you're ever in the Chicago area, I strongly recommend this area.
Yeah, unless, of course, you really don't want to be in haunted places, most haunted cemetery in the world, of course.
That's right, unless you're not into scary things. But if you are, it sounds like a really cool place.
Most geocachers at one point or another have experience with travel bugs, either placing them or actually hiding them. And way back in December of 2006, we, PodCacher, put out a traveling microfilm can out there into the wild to do a few different things. One was to promote PodCacher listeners and promote the PodCacher podcast to new listeners potentially, and also sort of to allow people to sign a log, because this is actually an unusual travel bug in the sense that it's carrying with it a film can that has a log inside it that you can sign.
Yeah, and I actually started it off in Massachusetts when I was out there for my friend's wedding, and it's kind of crisscrossed across the U.S., and then it kind of went quiet for a little while.
It did. But then the thing that it's trying to do as it crosses the U.S. is get pictures and stories from other people who are with it. So what we're going to do is put links on our show notes so you can go maybe even put it on your watch list. Mm-hmm. And if it gets somewhere near you, we would love for you to pick it up. Maybe hang on to it for a little bit, take pictures of you and caching people in your area. You can also call into the PodCacher hotline and call in stories about it, which is one of the things it says on the travel bug page, and then send it on its way to San Diego. Now, listener Hither and Yawn wrote in the log, found on a trail near Saanich Peninsula, just north of Victoria, British Columbia. Very, very soggy log. So they've refurbished the travel bug. They dried out the log and added an additional sheet for future logs. They put the these in a small Ziploc bag and replace the broken nylon tie wrap. This travel bug has been out of business for some time, so I'll move it along soon. We'll send pictures of the logs and Hither and Yon photo to PodCacher.com. Big thanks, by the way, to Hither and Yon for the work you've done on our travel bug. And so, yeah, this thing has been around for a little bit, and we're hoping to eventually get it out here in San Diego.
And maybe we'll have to do like a contest or something.
That's a good idea.
With the names on the log inside.
Yeah, so that could be fun. So make sure your name is readable on there. Hopefully it didn't bleed because of it getting soggy recently. But get your names on there, and maybe when it gets to San Diego here and we actually retrieve the thing, we might do something with all the names that are on there. So take your opportunity to see if you can get that travel bug close to you, get pictures of it, tell us stories, and we'd just be interested to track the thing as it finally makes its way here to Southern California. So it's a cross-country trip. This is, once again, the traveling microfilm can. We'll put links on our show notes, and go check that out and see if you can help it along.
We have a first to find story to share with you that came in from Jones 84790. The message said, the day started with a message blinking on my phone when I woke up. 20 new caches were published during the night. And because of the bad weather, I ignored the urge to run out the door into the cold rain. I figured Billy and Jay or one of the other local FTF hounds had already found them long ago. Later in the morning, I mentioned it to the wife and kids, and they were ready to go, pushing me out the door. We started out only to get the 3 that were closest to the house. At the first cache, we found GC Addicted and shared the first to find. We tagged along with GC Addicted for the next 3 first to finds and then left him to get breakfast and lunch. The bad weather had cleared up, and we decided to keep going, even though we were only going to be second and third to find on the rest of the caches. 19 of the new caches each had a clue to a puzzle that would eventually, if done correctly, give you the location to the final puzzle cache. 2 of the caches were near a city park, so we let the kids play for a while as I walked to the caches. Then we moved on to the next closest cache, where Little Jones 2.0 announced that he needed a potty break. There were restrooms at the park we had just left, so we did some backtracking to the park. As we were waiting, I noticed a credit card on the ground at the playground. To our surprise, it was one of ours. It must have fallen out when we were not acting our age on the play equipment. Luckily, we were the first to find for that unpublished cache.
Right. Okay.
We then continued on and found the rest of the caches and began working on the final puzzle. And we must have redone the puzzle 10 times and got a different location every time.
Don't you hate that?
Out of frustration, I sent an email to the cache owner on my smartphone. A few more tries with no luck, and we gave up and were going to go home. But wait, the phone is ringing. Who could that be? It was the cache owner. She had made a mistake on the puzzle. A quick correction and a verification from the cache owner. The next few minutes reminded me of the first scene in GPS the movie. We were racing down the road knowing that at least 2 or 3 other cachers were also on their way to the same spot. We were getting close and the road was very muddy and slick. Knowing if I stopped in this mud, we would almost likely be stuck. Momentum became our friend to get through the mud and over the hills. At one point, the muddy red water was flying higher than the top of the Jeep. I admit, it was a lot of fun.
I bet.
As the mud was wiped from the windshield, a familiar Jeep passed us as we were leaving the area. They better not have found it already, I grumbled to my wife. Just then the phone rang. It was Big E, the driver of the passing Jeep. He too had trouble with the puzzle and wondered if I knew something that he didn't. He then turned around and began to follow us to the final cache that was hidden in a large area full of small to large rocks. It could be anywhere. We were lucky and found it in just a minute or 2. Opened the container full of fresh swag, a new travel bug, a new geocoin, and a blank log. Wahoo!
All right.
It took us over 6 hours to get here, but at least we got the first to find. As we were leaving the area, we passed another rival FTF hound as he was making his way up the muddy road to the cache. That was close. If we would have been 2 minutes later, we would have been third to find.
That's how quick it happens. Yeah.
We love the show and always look forward to Monday so we can hear the newest episodes of the podcast. Keep up the great work. And that's Jones 84790. And he says the cache for this first to find was Dixie Sudoku Final. And the first 3 logs will give you a good idea how much fun the day was and how close the race for first to find was. All right, thanks so much for sharing your story.
WFM8. That's right, the worldwide flash mob is coming soon. And if you want to be part of something big, huge, humongous, global, and worldwide, you're going to want to pay attention to this. Now, the date of the next worldwide geocaching flash mob is coming on June 4th. 10 o'clock Pacific time, and events are already sprouting up. Now, one of the things we talked about was coordinating it, and it's amazing because in past flash mobs, other countries have actually been up at 4 in the morning and at all sorts of times in order to coordinate it so it's actually happening at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Now, some countries have opted not to do that just because of the inconvenience and the amount of people that are going to arrive, and that's fine too. But if you really want to be part of something huge, especially on that particular day, June 4th, you might want to look at our show notes so you can get more information about that. And by the way, for those of you who have never attended or held a flash mob, some of the links on our show notes will show you how easy it is to put together this 15-minute event, a coming together of geocachers from all over the place.
Now, so far we have 35 events in 10 countries. They've just started posting, and they're already coming up everywhere around the world. We also have some great things for you. We have resources. We have a logo available that you can use on your event cache page, and we'll put all this information in the show notes. We're going to have geocoins and trackable tags available for order soon, in just a couple of weeks.
That's right.
And we're working with Groundspeak on getting a special souvenir.
So this is huge.
For the WWFM.
I mean, this is huge. I'm not sure if we're going to have T-shirts, hats, and bobbleheads made for this. Action figures, right? But
it'll be fun.
It'll be fun. We do have an official logo, and then the geocoin and the trackable tag are going to be something you might want to collect with the official logo on it. And then, yes, you'll actually get a Groundspeak souvenir logo if you attend one of these events all around the world. Now, literally, I think the amount of people that we have showing up at these flash mobs, especially when you add them all up, easily is a mega event.
Oh, it's like 8,000. Yeah.
It's amazing how many people. And the last one we actually held officially was a full year ago. Some people were asking if we're going to do it in November like we have in the past, but we kind of held off and said, let's make this something special. So really what we want to do is gather all the momentum, the steam, and the enthusiasm about this particular flash mob. So once again, it's WWFM, Worldwide Geocaching Flash Mob number 8, coming to a place near you on June 4th. Look out for it. It's going to be a flash. One thing that's really cool about the PodCacher podcast is it's listened to geocachers from all around the world. So it really is an international way to distribute information about geocachers, geocaching, and cool cache containers. And what we have for you here is something that might inspire you to do something similar in your local area. And this one is talking about a sword in the stone geocache.
This email came to us from Gravity Bear, who wrote and said, "Hi, Team PodCacher. I just had to write to tell you about a cache that I found. I've been geocaching for a little over 9 months, and today I found my favorite cache to date." And there's some pictures that we can reference as well. It's called The Sword in the Stone. I was looking at the list of caches near a series I was going to go for, and I saw that this cache had 36 favorites, which was actually 55%.
Not bad, not bad.
This is the highest I've seen around my area, so I knew I had to go look for this cache. When I arrived at Ground Zero and saw it, I started grinning from ear to ear, and I knew this was going to be good.
You ever come up on one of those caches where, you're not sure about anything about it, but when you walk up, you realize, somebody put time into this one.
And you just start smiling.
And this is going to be worth my while. Yeah. Yeah.
The email goes on to say it's not a simple matter to pull the sword from the stone either. And there's several pictures on the cache page, so I don't think we're giving anything away. People are posting pictures of themselves with this sword.
Yeah.
But apparently there's a puzzle involved in removing it. And since we don't know, we can't even give it away.
So we're safe.
But it says it took patience and care, but I proved worthy. So apparently you have to figure it out to be worthy to take the sword from the stone.
Yeah.
I wish I could award it more than one favorite point. I have to give a shout out to the cache owner Diehard50248, who has hidden all of my favorites, including the Traceability series and the Guardian series, as well as Clever Night cache multis. This cache owner creates the most creative and clever caches I've had the pleasure to find. Thanks for letting me go on. I love listening to the podcast each week, and that again came from Gravity Bear.
All right. Well, thank you for that one there. And, we love to hear great stories about creative and innovative and imaginative geocaches, unlike many, many thousands of LPCs out there. But the thing is, there are people out there who just craft and create these, a mixture of both engineering and art out there in geocaches. And we would love to hear about more of these. In fact, you know what? If you guys know of a geocacher in your local area, okay, you might want to identify them. Let us know about them. And if you could help us get in contact with these really creative, innovative geocachers, we would love to be able to maybe chat with them on the phone, talk to them a little bit about their art, about their craft, about their engineering and what motivates them, and maybe learn a thing or two that we would love to share with our international audience here in PodCacher. So that's one of the things that you might want to think about doing. Identify somebody that a lot of people admire in your local area. Let us know, drop us a line, and let us know who the geocacher is, and let them know also that we'd be interested in maybe chatting with them over the phone. Or you can go ahead and call in and let us know who that geocacher is. You can always call in on the PodCacher hotline. That number is 206-A-CACHER. That number, once again, is 206-222-2437. Why not put it on your speed dial? Things that we mentioned before is that this show would not be able to go on if it were not for the generous contributions of our financial supporters. And we just want to acknowledge some of our listeners every once in a while, every now and then. And this is a member shout out that goes to one of our financial supporters, listener Buckeye Beth. And we just really wanted to give a special thanks and shout out to Buckeye Beth and all the other PodCacher financial supporting members out there. And Buckeye Beth said, "Hi, Sonny, Sandy, and Sean. Sure, if you've ever liked to give me a shout out, I live in Columbus, Ohio. I also volunteer at the Columbus Zoo, one of the best zoos in the world. And I know you guys in San Diego know great zoos, the San Diego Zoo. We're most famous for our gorilla family, including Kolo, the first gorilla who was ever born in a zoo, and now, at 54 years old, is the oldest gorilla in any zoo and a great-great-grandmother."
Well, that's cool. The first gorilla ever born in the zoo.
Yeah. And now a great-great-grandmother gorilla. That's quite a title. Getting a shout out would be fun. Getting a shout out for the Columbus Zoo would be also awesome. Thanks for the awesome show that you do. And that once again comes to us from listener Buckeye Beth. Hey, Buckeye Beth, once again, thank you so much for considering the work and effort that we do here at the PodCacher podcast important enough to help us with financial support. And to the rest of you out there who are also financial supporting members, thank you. The show would not go on without you. And for the rest of you who are not yet financial supporting members, remember, it's for the price of about a Happy Meal or so once a month that we would really help us to continue to bring you the geocaching goodness that we do to you guys each and every week. So think about it and help the show out by being a supporting member. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, we really do thank you. And one benefit that we try to give to our financial supporting members are the MAP shows, the Member Appreciation Premium Perk Show. That's a little difficult to say, but that we produce with special content just for you guys every so often.
That's right. And it's something that we create for you guys as a way to say thank you, because we were thinking about, what is it that we can give our financial supporting listeners, something special. And we were not able to produce enough gold bullion or cars to give away or airplane trips to Tahiti. We just don't have that kind of coin. But one thing we can do is create wonderful content for you guys. And we thought that we would put together these map shows as premium perks for those of you who are financial supporting members.
And to just give you a little idea on this latest map show, some things that we talked about were a location-based smartphone app that has been used in a few kinds of geocaches.
That's right. We also talk about a website that's related to traveling and geocaching that you might enjoy.
Some interesting uses of GPS in wildlife conservation.
And we also chat about a cool intersection of history, location, and photography.
Also, a listener raises a very interesting caching ethics question that we talk about.
Yeah, that was quite intriguing, actually. And also another special giveaway just for the listeners of the Map Show. And this is, once again, just for our supporting members. And if you would like to join as a supporting member, we would sincerely appreciate it. And if you do join soon, what we'll do is we'll send you links so that you can listen to this Map Show as well as the previous Map Shows and hear all the premium content that we put on those particular particular show. So once again, thank you to all our supporting members, and thanks to those of you who are considering becoming supporting members. And again, we'll put all the links that you'll need on our show notes.
Mentioned on a few shows ago that we were going to talk about a travel bug rescue that was 2 years in the making. And this email we got from Me Too Ugly. That's an interesting caching name.
That's a great caching name.
Me Too Ugly, who wrote and said, "Hello, Sonny and Sandy. I live in Washington State, just north of Seattle. I've been caching for 2 years now and having a lot of fun. My family is talking about planning an intervention." We've heard that a lot recently.
We've heard that a lot recently, yeah.
The point being, I love it and talk passionately about it to everyone. Now I enjoy travel bug rescuing, and it increases my passion for geocaching, especially when things like this happen. I planned a trip to Burbank, California to visit some family and to do some caching, specifically travel bug rescue caching. That is to say, I planned my trip so I could help a rescued travel bug on its mission and rescue travel bugs in order to get closer to Friedless, who is currently #1 in travel bug rescues. Now, this is that travelbugrescue.com website.
Yes.
We talked about this on a previous show.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
And apparently there's actually a list of cachers of who have rescued the most,
right,
according to their website.
So these people here who voluntarily go out to rescue travel bugs that have somehow gotten stuck and they're no longer moving, what they do is they go out to these locations, they rescue these travel bugs and get them moving along. And they're stuck for many different reasons. Sometimes they're put into a cache that's like a 5-5, right? On the side of a cliff where you need mountain climbing gear, and you'll it's going to be there for years. And as a travel bug owner, I could see where you go, oh no, the travel bug that I have is stuck on the side of this cliff.
And sometimes just things happen to the cache itself, or, which is what's going to happen in this case.
Yeah, but these people are heroes. These people are like the firemen. No. They're like superheroes. We should get them spandex and capes.
Maybe they don't want to wear spandex, honey. But if you go through the travelbugrescue.com website, they must have a database, and I'm not sure exactly their criteria, but after a travel bug hasn't moved for, X number of months or years or whatever, then it's part of the database, and you can sign up or say, oh, I'm going to go rescue this one.
That is my mission.
And then you get credit for the rescues.
Right.
And then there's a ranking system of who's rescued the most.
So now this guy, so that the person
Me Too Ugly
mentioned, this Friedless
right, is the number one.
Okay.
And Me Too Ugly is number 2.
I'm sure Friedless has spandex and a cape.
So anyway, the email goes on to say, in the past 2 days, I had 2 unsuccessful travel bug rescues, and I was feeling a little down because I'm sure a lot of times you go out there and it's just missing.
Right.
It's not in the cache anymore.
Right. Yeah, probably true.
However, I did find some neat caches, and I increased my earth caches. So I pressed on to my next rescue. The next cache was called A Little on the Wild Side, and it's located north of Pasadena, and it contained a travel bug that had been there for 722 days.
Wow. That's like 2 years, right?
Yes. Try to do the math in your head there, honey.
I was going to say over 2 years, under 2 years. It's around 2 years.
Yeah,
right.
Close enough. This was actually a Geo coin, right. DDJC's returning home coin. When I got to the starting point, some local hikers told me that there was a fire in August of 2009 that had destroyed the area where I was going. This did not give me much hope in finding the cache and another unsuccessful travel bug rescue, but I had to go check it out. I made a commitment to at least try to locate the cache.
Good.
I grabbed my water bottles and a small pack and started walking up the hill. I noticed many signs on the side of the trail that read fire damage, area closed. I didn't read anything about fire damage and access restrictions in my research of the area, so I pressed on. After about an hour, I had reached my destination, turned on my GPS, scanned the area using my geosenses. Nothing really stood out except for how Mother Nature had once again done a magnificent job in reclaiming her domain. There was lots of growth with just some reminders of the destruction from 2 years ago. I searched around, pushing brush aside and looking for something out of the ordinary, all the while being careful not to upset any wildlife in the area.
Yeah, and you know what? We've had several fires out here in Southern California, so I know exactly what he's talking about. A week or two after the fire, it's completely black and charred. But then within weeks, let alone months, really vibrant green plants start popping popping up, and it really does show how Mother Nature comes back and starts to reclaim the area back into a living, lush, vegetative area. Yeah.
And this had already been a couple years, actually, since the fire. After about an hour, I was getting pretty discouraged and was going to leave when I remembered what a friend had told me what firefighters do during a brush fire. They turn everything, including rocks, so that some small ember doesn't come back later. So the small cairn that once housed the cache could be nothing more than scattered stones. Rejuvenated, I started turning every stone within 20 feet of ground zero, and in 5 minutes, I found it.
Aha!
I couldn't believe it. I found it. An impossible find, and I found it. I was so happy and energized. I started jumping around, yelling and screaming. I found it. It's too bad there's no video of this.
Right. I'm sure if there were anybody in the way or nearby that sees this person up on a hill or out in the clearing screaming, I found it, like, oh my gosh, maybe we ought to call somebody.
I'm sure the locals across the draw thought I was loco.
There were people close by.
The cache had been damaged, and I had to take it back to my hotel so I could remove its contents. So at this point, I did not know if the travel bug was even in the cache. I was too elated that I had found it, and I would worry about the travel bug later. When I got back to the hotel, I thought, how the heck am I going to get into this mess without damaging anything? And we'll put pictures up of the charred remains of the container. And it was just kind of a mass of melted, it didn't look like there was anything.
Just amazing. Think how much heat it would take.
Possibly survived in there.
Think how much heat it would take to do that, yeah.
So it goes on. So I took my time and started at the bottom where there was a small hole. After about 30 minutes, I had finally got to the cache, and I saw what looked like the travel bug I went after. After about another 5 minutes of extracting the burnt log and some other materials, there it was, the travel bug I was after. I couldn't wait to tell the owner that I had rescued their travel bug and would be moving it to a portal cache in Germany. And it looks like it's in fantastic shape. I mean, it's a coin, so it's not some kind of material that would burn.
Yeah, not too susceptible to melting. Yeah,
right. But it looked like it made it through amazingly well,
unscathed.
Yeah,
nice.
Well, that's my story and a rescue that I will use to keep me going. I hope you like it and will promote travel bug rescuing in the future. Thanks for your time. Again, that's Scott, also known as Me Too Ugly. What a great story.
What a great story. Yeah. And once again, I think we ought to put together a Travel Bug Rescue Society, membership badge or spandex with like a logo on the chest.
On the spandex.
I am just telling you, I mean, it is a very, very common thing right now to see movies about superheroes, right? I mean, there was that TV show for a little while that you and I are still watching on DVD, Heroes, as well as the plethora of, Iron Man, Spider-Man, the Hulk. Yeah. So that's what needs to come next. The geocaching hero, the travel bug rescue man or woman or geocacher. Wouldn't that be great? I think so. Cool. It could make a comic book. I need to talk to Stan Lee at Marvel about this.
Maybe we could do like a contest or something to encourage more people to do travel bug rescues. Yeah. I'm trying to get away from the spandex thing here right now. We'll think about it. And we'll let you know. But definitely go check out the Travel Bug Rescue website and see if there's any travel bugs in your local area that you can go rescue. It might not have been 2 years and fire damage in between, but you could help somebody's travel bug along that's gotten lost and is just waiting for you to come help it. So again, thank you so much to Me Too Ugly for sharing your inspiring story.
As we mentioned, Sandy and I just returned from an educational technology conference out in Palm Springs, and that was the Q conference, happens annually, and that stands for the Computer Using Educators Conference. It's a great conference to attend to because you've got really highly motivated people who love to teach, who love to learn all things about educational technology. And one of the people that is an educational technologist who also happens to be a geocacher is Bert Lowe, and we interviewed him and got some information from him about the ISTE travel bug. And we're going to bring you some of that information on an upcoming show. We got a chance to chat with Bert about it and get more information about the travel bugs that come from the International Society of Technology and Education that are traveling around the country right now.
Yeah, we interviewed Bert about the book that he wrote a while back on the show, and that's when they kicked off this travel bug contest.
Yeah, that was on show 299.1, just for reference there, if you want to listen to that one there.
Okay, thank you, honey.
You're welcome.
And so now all the travel bugs are dispersed around the world and are starting to travel in the contest. And Sonny was able to chat with Bert and get an update on how that contest is doing. And so we're going to bring that audio to you on a future show.
One of the things we love to do here at the PodCacher podcast is to bring you great stories from all around the world from geocachers, because a lot of times they have got great stories as they go caching out there. And this one's a great cache experience from listeners, the Punkadilly Bears. He writes and say, hi, Sonny and Sandy. Let me start by saying that I respect your dislike for lamppost caches. Yay! But this is not about the cache. This is a lot about the journey and the memory it created. Listen to this one. This is a great story. My oldest daughter, who is 6, and I have been caching for about 6 months or so. The Cuddly Cache crew got us started, and ever since, my daughter keeps asking, when can we go caching?
I think that's Cuddy Cache Through.
Oh.
They might not want to be cuddly.
They might be cuddly, too.
Cuddy Cache Crew.
Cuddy Cache Crew.
Okay.
I stand corrected. Cuddy Cache Crew. So I've been trying to decide what GPS receiver to get, or if I should just get a GPS receiver dock for my iPod Touch. Well, winter set in here in the East, so there's been not any real hurry to make my decision. This past Saturday, I decided to go to the store with my daughters, and my oldest asked if we could go caching. Normally, I'd look at the maps, get some landmarks, and start to do some caching. I have some good successes to date. This is where we're headed down the side of town that I was not familiar with. I told her I was sorry, but I don't know of any caches in the area. She said, but there are so many lampposts. I know there will not be any treasures, but there will at least be a cache.
So she gets that.
She gets that.
No treasures.
They're not very big, right?
But at least it's a cache.
Yeah, she says, there's so many lampposts. There has to be. I reminded her that not every lamppost has a cache, and then she remembered me telling her about this a month ago. I indicated we're not going to be able to find a cache, but she said, but there's so many lampposts. Daddy, just try. Well, as soon as she pulls out the daddy phrase, then I'm butter. I said, this is fine. I will check this light right here. I pull over next to the first lamppost we're approaching, and as I proceed to get out of the car, I approach with my stealth maneuvers, creeping and crawling like a lion, eyeing the gazelle in the mighty Serengeti. Only I'm not trying to be seen by muggles. Instead of hiding from my prey, I walk over with a swagger that just gushes with confidence. I know I'm about to lift the base of the lamppost and prove to her that this is a bad way to go about caching. I grab the base of the lamppost and gently but swiftly give it a lift. My face turns beet red, and and I turn to the car and quickly enter the vehicle. As I'm looking for a pen, I hear, "See, Daddy, I told you there was a cache."
That's awesome.
Of all the lampposts, my daughter finds one that has a cache. Obviously, I lift up 2 or 3 of the other bases that day, and no luck. This is the lesson I learned about lamppost caches that day, is not that they're great caches themselves, but rather that the journey to get there is the real treasure. Thank you, and keep up the good work. This one, once again, comes from Punkadilly Bears. And you know what that tells me? It just goes to show you how many lamppost caches there are out there that you're able to randomly just pick a lamppost and find a geocache underneath it.
No, honey, it's a sweet story about a
sweet story,
and the
schmeat
daughter.
story. I mean, I understand it's a sweet story, but it also goes to prove that they randomly found a You can look at it 2 different ways. First of all, maybe they should have signed up for the lottery that day, right? Because what are the odds, really?
Right.
Or, my gosh, there's a whole lot of lamppost caches out there, or guardrails. I wonder if somebody has ever done that. Just pulled over to a guardrail, said, I wonder if there's a cache here, and
probably.
It's
Then
probably
there it
happened
is.
where. All right, Punkadilly Bears, thank you for sharing that one with us and letting us know about your experiences with lamppost caches.
Milestone.
Here at the PodCacher podcast, we love to celebrate milestones and achievements. And we heard from Salsa Guy, who wrote and said, hi, PodCacher team. This week, my family, son Rock1435 and wife Cutie75, and I will be celebrating our first year of geocaching. It's been a lot of fun going to places around our town, exploring places we never would have if it weren't for this hobby. Keep up the great work on the show and keep on caching. And that's Salsa Guy from Whittier, California.
All right. And we also had some audio that was called in from listeners, so let's go ahead and take a listen to those.
Hey, Sonny, Sandy, and Sean. This is J-Rod 9100 in the great state of Texas. I'm calling in my 500th geocache find. Thanks for everything you do for the caching community, and keep on caching.
Hi, Sonny and Sandy. This is John of the Mischief Bandits calling in from the United Kingdom. We just hit 300th cache here in Cornwall. It's called the Smuggler's Rest, which is GC1XRP. This is located at the Jamaica Inn on Windswept, Bodmin Moor. This place is synonymous with the Cornish smuggling made famous by the author Daphne du Maurier. Anyway, enjoying the podcast, and ta-ta for now.
All right, guys, those are all great milestones. Awesome. And we're celebrating, so let's go ahead and call in the PodCacher studio audience and let's celebrate with them. And that theme song means we are done with the geocaching goodness, at least for today's show, and it's now time for a quick Sean update.
So I recently signed him up to Sean to get the National Geographic Junior magazine.
Yeah.
And this cute little magazine that's designed for little kids.
Yeah. Animals and pictures and stuff. Yeah,
and it's probably for a little bit older, someone who's starting to read and everything. But he loves it. He loves looking through it, and he always wanting us to read it to him.
Talking about the animals and stuff.
Yeah, and there's a page that has rhyming words, like duck and truck and legs and eggs. And I read it to him, and he's seen the pictures, so now he's memorized it. And driving home in the car from Palm Springs, it was a long drive. We went through different phases of entertainment with Sean.
Yes.
And he started talking about the rhyming words from the magazine.
Yeah.
And then he wanted to play the rhyming game.
Yes.
Where mommy and daddy would say words that rhyme. And how long did we do this for?
Okay, so
seemed like hours.
Here's how it goes. Sean is a great kid, and he's sitting in the back trying to entertain himself with reading a book or playing with his toys. But then Sandy and I are up front. We're talking about different things. We're talking about the conference, about our friends, and just lots of different subjects. And Sean felt left out, so he wanted to be in the conversation, as he said.
He heard me say conversation.
Yes.
And he goes, I want a conversation with mommy.
Yeah. So this is his idea of conversation. Okay, here it is. One, he wants to name shapes. Mm-hmm. So he'll name shapes, and that's his conversation. Or he'll name colors or cake, funny enough.
Somehow he got into, because he had a book about strawberry shortcake.
Yeah.
So then he wants to name the different types of cake.
Oh, the other conversation he has, which is just amazing, is instruments, musical instruments.
Yeah. Because we have that CD that's classical music, and he wants to know all the instruments.
And so what Daddy does is take apart the classical music, and he'll name the different instruments and talk about certain ones that are in the background and other ones that are playing melody. And so he wants to know, and it shocked us because he was sitting there naming all, oboe and bassoon and trombone and clarinet, and he was doing it all on his own just from sheer memory
of us saying them.
And I mean, the timpani drum, and it was just amazing to hear him say all these things. So now it was this rhyming game. And so
we just started, saying truck, duck, dog, log, and then everything Sandy, that we could think of.
And then Sandy came up with saying something that she wanted to say one word, and I would rhyme with it. So she said bed, and I said head, and then I said orange.
We're supposed to be doing
and then I got smacked.
Simple kids words, and he comes up with orange. What rhymes with orange? I tell you. I ask you.
Anyhow, it was a one way to shorten the distance.
Yes.
But actually, gosh, by the time he got home, it was so late. He was so tired and obviously need to sleep and crabby. But it was a fun trip out there to Palm Springs. We'll bring you a little bit more information on next week's show about that. But hey, guys, thank you so much for coming back and listening to the PodCacher podcast and the geocaching goodness that we bring to you guys each and every week. Please tell your geocaching friends about the information and news, tips, and tricks that we share each and every week. All right, guys, take care. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Well, that's it for the show today. We hope you enjoyed it.
Make sure to check out the website at PodCacher.com. There you'll find our show notes, useful links, and other resources.
You can reach us several different ways, and we'd love to hear from you. Our email is podcacher@gmail.com. You can also call us and leave us a voicemail. That number is 206-A-CACHER.
Go check out the PodCacher forums. Get the inside scoop, meet other PodCacher listeners, get answers to questions, and help us build future shows.
Till next time, stay safe and keep on caching.
recently were at an educational technology conference known as CUE, and that stands for California. Not California. No. You're not
We
using
are in
California.
And so Sonny was able to get an update from Bert, and we'll bring that audio to you on the next show, probably.
Probably. Maybe. I mean, it could happen. Maybe it won't happen. We're not sure. We're kind of thinking about it.
And we will share that audio with you probably next time.
Look, leave the entire word probably out, regardless of where it is. Just ixnay on the probably a.
Lose it.